Morning, everybody. I just want to check that people at the back can hear me. Right, okay. Because I'm not going to use the PA system because I don't have a belt to attach. I didn't think about that when I dressed this morning. So, I started doing type 25 years ago, and I took the indicator. I was working at ICL on leadership development, and we were using MBTI as part of our leadership development programs. ICL was a British computer company now owned by Fujitsu. And I was given my MBTI feedback, and I remember my overwhelming feeling was relief that it was okay to be who I was, and the other feeling I had was relief that there were other people like me and I wasn't odd. So that was quite a big, quite an important thing for me. I then went to OPP and I trained to do the MBTI and then started delivering it. And I'm delighted that one of the people who actually trained me is at the BAPT conference, and that's Sally Campbell. So I want to thank Sally for starting me off on a lifelong journey of development and discovery, and also development of others, because I work as a coach. And don't always use type, of course, but it informs everything that you do in a way once you know about it, I think. So I'm going to talk, I called this Closing the Influence Gap, how type can help you get on better with yourselves and others. And basically, I'm going to talk about what happens between people when you communicate with others, particularly in relation to the emotions. What's going on with the emotions when you communicate with other people? So I'm going to say a little bit about emotions. I'm going to say a tiny bit about mindfulness. I'm going to talk quite a lot about beliefs and how our beliefs drive our emotions. And I'll put this in the context mainly of interaction styles this morning, which is why we've asked you to sit on tables according to your interaction style, because we'll be doing a bit of work in interaction style groups later. So, when we communicate with other people, we usually have a positive intention. We don't set out to be difficult or awkward or unpleasant, do we? No. So, we usually have a positive intention, but sometimes the way we come across can have a negative impact on the people we're communicating with. And then there's an influence gap, a gap between what we intended by our behaviour and the impact we've actually had and the influence we've achieved. So one example of this for me personally, I live in Chester, towards the north of England. My mother used to live in Cardiff, which is about 150 miles away. I would ring my mother. My intention in ringing my mother was to show her that I cared about her. But usually something would come up in the conversation, we'd have a bit of a disagreement, and we'd end up putting the phone down, and afterwards I think, no, that didn't go as I wanted it to go. I didn't really show I cared about her. We've had a disagreement sort of thing. So I had to rethink how I behaved in those conversations. So I just want you to take a couple of minutes to think about a time when maybe you have had that same situation where your impact hasn't been what you intended, and then maybe you didn't get the results that you wanted. So I'd like you to think about that, and just for a couple of minutes share it perhaps in pairs with the person next to you. So a situation where you haven't had the impact that you intended to have. Time goes fast when you're enjoying yourselves. So who had examples of where their impact hadn't been what they intended? Does anybody? Yeah, quite a few. More than half of you seem to have examples of that. So what I want to look at today is where this disconnect comes from, and in particular, how it relates to the beliefs that are driving us when we interact with others. And this, of course, is where emotional intelligence comes in. So closing that influence gap really requires three things. We need to know how our behaviour is experienced by others. We need to be able to recognise and manage the emotions driving our behaviour. And we need to be able to pick up accurate cues from other people about their thoughts and feelings, so we behave in an appropriate way. Simple? Not easy, no. So I'm not going to do masses of research, but three bullet points. So that first point, knowing how your behaviour is experienced by others. Sun and Vizia last year at the University of California did a study, and one of their conclusions was people don't even know when they're being considerate versus rude. That's their words, not mine. So we don't even know how our impact is, whether we're being considerate or rude, which is pretty shocking, really. Second bit there, Lisa Feldman Barrett. Has anyone come across Lisa Feldman Barrett? She's a neuroscientist in the States. She wrote that book over there, How Emotions Are Made, The Secret Life of the Brain. And one of the things she says is emotions are your brain's best guesses of what your bodily sensations mean. So if your face goes red, your brain rapidly tries to work out, why has my face gone red? And then depending on the situation, it might be just that you're hot, or you're angry, or you're embarrassed, or whatever. That's her belief. And then David Eagleman. Anyone heard of David Eagleman? He's been on TV in the UK anyway, yeah, a few people. Yeah, American neuroscientist. It's hard to pick up accurate cues from others about their thoughts and feelings. And as he said, perception of others is prone to error. So actually, it's really difficult to be emotionally intelligent and close that inference gap with those things. So that's the theory. I want to show you emotions in action. Has anyone seen the film Inside Out? Oh yeah, a few hands going up. I think anyone who's got children, I think it's a Pixar movie. I've not seen the whole movie myself, just the trailer. So basically in this trailer, the emotions are played by little characters. That shows you what's going on in people's heads. So I'm hoping the technology is going to work. I'll try and make that full screen when I know it's there.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
So, how was the first day of school?
It was fine, I guess. I don't know. Do you ever look at someone and wonder what is going on inside their head?
Did you guys pick up on that?
Sure did.
Something's wrong.
We're going to find out what's happening, but we'll need support. Signal the husband.
Uh-oh, she's looking at us. What did she say?
What? Oh, sorry, sir. No one was listening.
Mr. Gobberstein, we left the toilet seat up. What? What is it, woman? What?
Signal him again.
So, Riley, how was school?
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
For this, we gave up that Brazilian helicopter pilot?
School was great, alright?
What was that? I thought you said we were gonna act casual.
Riley, is everything okay?
Sir, she just rolled her eyes at us.
All right, make a show of force. I don't want to have to put the foot down.
No, not the foot.
Riley, I do not like this new attitude.
Oh, I'll show you attitude.
No, read.
What is your problem? Just leave me alone.
Sir, reporting high levels of sass.
Take it to DEFCON 2.
DEFCON 2.
I don't know where this disrespectful attitude came from.
You want a piece of this, Pop?
Yeah? Well, look.
Prepare the foot.
Keys to safety position. Ready to launch on your command, sir.
Just shut up!
Fire! That's it. Go to your room.
The foot is down. The foot is down.
Good job, gentlemen. That could have been a disaster.
Well, that was a disaster.
Come, fly with me, Gachi.
Try and get out of this without losing my presentation, I hope. Oh, that's still there, good. So, I quite enjoyed that film, and some of you did obviously. What messages about the emotions did that film tell you? Yes, Sue?
What's going on the outside isn't going on the inside.
Yeah, so what's going on the outside isn't the same as what's going on the inside. What else?
In a dialogue.
Oh, you're in a dialogue, yeah, you're thinking it, yeah, you're talking to yourself about what's happening.
I love that for each person there was a different person in charge. There was a different character in charge. And it really is a nice a representation of all the ways that our functions may be represented through the archetype. Because each character is its own little archetype.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. I'll have to study that.
Yeah, the movie's quite good about that.
Yeah, is it? Right, good. Yeah. Anything else? What basic things about emotions?
Major gender roles.
Gender, yes, that's, yeah, definitely. That certainly came out there. Anything else?
Horrendous.
Okay, so emotions hijack you, don't they? You know, it took them over. So, sorry, Sally, I'm not meaning to reinforce prejudice. I am a feminist, honestly. But in relation to the emotions, I think that film shows us how quickly we get hijacked by our emotions, how we don't know what emotions other people are feeling, and how it just escalated out of control really quickly. So, what can we do about it? And really, this is where type and emotional intelligence comes in. Because if we have more of these things, we are better at dealing with those sorts of situations. So coming on to type and interaction styles. So cognitive processes, as we know, tells us how our mind works. So, and in relation to communication, as an NT, I know that when I communicate with my ST husband, I have to communicate in a different way, I have to give him facts, I have to speak sequentially, I have to start off telling him what I'm going to talk about so he knows what the topic is. With my SF friends, again, I have to communicate in a particular way, I have to talk about certain topics, I have to talk about friends and family and all that stuff rather than ideas and debates. And, well, actually with NFs, I'm still working out how to communicate with NFs, so if anyone can invite me later, please do. So basically, cognitive processes tell us how our minds work, as we know. But I think what interaction styles does is tell you how your emotions work when you interact with others. So interaction styles tells you about the beliefs that are driving your behaviour, driving your emotions when you're communicating with other people. And I think that getting on with other people is largely about managing your feelings about yourself and your feelings about them. And I think interaction styles helps us with that. So I'm going to say a little bit about that mind-body link that we touched on at the beginning, and then quite a lot about the beliefs and needs of each interaction style and how that comes across and how that causes conflict and so on. So, very quick bit of mindfulness. Now, Ray did mindfulness yesterday. Was it just yesterday? It was, wasn't it? Oh, Thursday, okay, yeah. So anyone in Ray's session, we did a bit of mindfulness there where you sat on your chair and grounded yourself and breathed. What I'd like you to do, on your table, there is a little dish of raisins. So I'd like you to take a raisin. So take a raisin, put it in the palm of your hand. Have a look at it. Have a look at the shape. It's quite interesting here. The in-charge people are allocated sharing out the resources amongst themselves quite well. Have a look at the shape, have a look at the size. Is it wrinkly? What colour is it? Roll it round on the palm of your hand. What does it feel like when you roll it round on the palm of your hand? Actually, these are quite dry raisins, I would say, not good Californian raisins, so sorry about that.
I would eat them if I thought about them as much.
Yeah. Pick it up between your thumb and finger. Put it in your mouth. I'm not going to put it in mine because I can't talk at the same time as these people. Just pop it in your mouth. Don't chew it. Pop it. Well, have another one. Pop it in your mouth. Roll it round inside your mouth. Roll it round inside your tongue. What's happening in your mouth?
Taste.
You can start to taste it. Yeah. Anything else? Saliva starts coming in. The raisin goes softer. I think, right, you can chew it now. You can finish them off. Who has paid that amount of attention to eating a raisin before?
Say it again.
Who here? Has anyone paid that amount of attention to eating a raisin before? A couple of people. Most of us haven't. But that's the sort of level of attention that you need to give to your physical sensations and your emotions if you want to be better at managing your feelings when you interact with other people. But we don't do that, do we? Not that level of attention. So that's a little bit about mindfulness and how that can help. However, the main thing I want to talk about is the bear. So I've said to you, beware of the bear. So when we interact with other people, we have beliefs. We have beliefs about ourselves, beliefs about them, beliefs about the situation. And our beliefs influence our emotions. And our emotions affect what we do and say, our actions. And that obviously affects the results that we get. And it's a bit like a chain. And all of this happens really quickly. As you saw in the film, the father, he believes his daughter was being cheeky. He reacted emotionally, he put his foot down, and then it all went haywire, sort of thing. So this chain happens really quickly. And you can only stop it if you are aware of those emotions, those feelings, those physical sensations. Now, interaction styles. Who's familiar with interaction styles? I know a lot of people are. About half of you, I think. So, interaction styles are underpinned by beliefs. This is the definition I use. As most of you know, the interaction styles model was developed by Linda Behrens. My definition is slightly different from Linda's, but basically, interaction styles are patterns of physical and verbal behaviour displayed when interacting with others, linked to underlying drives, beliefs, aims and talents. And this is why interaction styles is useful for emotional intelligence, because if you're aware of how you're coming across, you can change that if you want to. If you pick up cues from other people's behaviour, from how they're coming across, you get some insight into their drives and beliefs, and can therefore adapt to respond appropriately. So I'm going to say a little bit about the core drives and beliefs of people in the 4 styles. On this slide, the lowercase are the names that Linda Behrens uses, the capitals are the names that I use. So I'll just run through them briefly. So chart the course navigator. Their drive, their energy if you like, their drive is to have a course of action. They want to have a plan, they want to know what's going to happen. And their underlying core belief is that it's worth the effort to think ahead and make a plan and think about, well, what could go wrong, what are all the risks and so on. The in-charge mobiliser, their core drive is to get action with results. Let's get things done. And they feel stressed if nothing's happening. And they believe it's worth the risk to go ahead and act or decide. It's worth doing something better than doing nothing. So you can immediately see how there's scope for conflict between these 2 styles, because the chart the course navigator wants to have a plan and think through carefully what needs to happen, whereas the in-charge mobiliser wants to go straight for it without faffing around. Sorry, that's a northern expression, I think, faffing. Without faffing around with plans and things. So scope for conflict there. Behind-the-scenes synthesizer, their core drive is to get the best results, so they want to have time to take in all the information and input and consult with people. And their underlying core belief is that it's worth the time it takes to reconcile all those inputs. But of course that does take time, and other people see them as delaying and procrastinating. And again, you can see scope for conflict between the different styles. And then my 4th style there, get things going energizer. Their core drive is for involvement. They want to involve people, they want to get people's buy-in. And their core belief is it's worth the energy to involve everyone. And again, for a navigator, they don't always see why the energizers are talking so much and being so lively and being so energetic and throwing in new ideas when they just want to get on with the plan, etc., etc. So there's lots of scope for conflict between these different styles in a meeting, at work, at home, outside work, whatever. For those of you that aren't so familiar with interaction styles, this is just a mapping of type 2 interaction style. So you'll see the names of the styles, you see the MBTI types. The 2 at the top are the more introverted styles, the 2 at the bottom are the more extroverted styles. The 2 on the left are the styles that tend to have a more directing style of communication, and the 2 on the right are the 2 that have a more information-giving style of communication. I'm not going to say any more than that, I'm not going to explain any more than that now, but that's just that mapping. But you've already seen that on your tables, you've got the types on the back of your interaction style cards. Right. Are there any questions at the moment? Nothing too technical about interaction styles, hopefully. Right, everyone with me so far? Yeah. Good, okay. So, we've sat you in interaction style groups. I'd like you in your group to have a discussion about how your core belief might help you, but also how your core belief might hinder you. So our beliefs generally help us, but can also hinder us, whatever they are. Beliefs about anything. Often they help us in certain ways, but our beliefs can also hinder us. So in relation to your interaction style belief, I'd like you to think about how does that core belief help you, and how does the core belief hinder you? And I just would like 3 bullet points on each. I'll put the slide back up with the core beliefs on, but you do also have the drive and the core belief on the bottom of the cards on your table. So probably just going to allow maybe about 5 minutes for this, so quite short. But 3 points, how does it help you, how does it hinder you? For me, this is the only table of in-charge mobilisers, so they're outnumbered by all the other interaction styles. So did you come up with 3 things, 3 ways in which your style helps and 3 ways in which your style hindered? Would you like to tell us? And Susan is at the back. Susan's going to actually note down what you're saying for us, and then I can circulate it perhaps afterwards.
Okay, so our 3 things that we do relatively well. We get things done. We're good in a crisis. We're direct, so there's in our action and our conversation, so we feel there's less confusion.
Great. So that core belief of
Yeah.
it's worth the risk to go ahead and act and decide is great in all these situations. Did everybody hear what Sue said? Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Well done.
And someone didn't.
Oh,
you repeat it, Sue?
Oh,
maybe turn this way.
yeah, turn that way.
Okay, we get things done. We're good in a crisis, and we direct action and conversation, so we believe there's less confusion. Okay. And then on the downside, shall I stand up? On the downside, hold on. Just so that everybody hears, and I only say it once. We can leave people behind. Thank you. We leave people behind. We can annoy people. We can become aggressive. We can damage or hurt, and we can be closed to alternatives.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Which group would like to go next?
You're just going to have to direct.
Okay, right. I'll direct you. I'll do what Marky just directed me to do. Okay. So 3 ways in which your belief helps you. This is Chart the Course Navigator. So people that like to have a course of action, like to know and like to thought through the plan.
So the benefits are that we're planned.
Yeah.
We're logical.
Right.
And we like to think things through.
Fantastic. Yeah.
You're going to have to be a lot louder.
Okay. Planned, logical, think things through. Okay. Did you find any ways in which your belief hinders you?
We would be frustrating to people that don't like to plan.
Yes, frustrating to people that don't like to plan.
And we're frustrated by those who don't like to plan.
Yeah, they're frustrated by those who don't like to plan. Yeah, I'm like an echo here.
And not all things can be planned.
Yes, not all things can be planned.
And we hate it when people don't plan but still get the same results as us.
Yeah. All that effort you put into your plan, and they manage to do it without a plan. Thank you very much. So we'll have the other Chart the Course Navigator table. If they've already said a point you've made, you don't need to repeat it, but did you have ways in which your belief helps you?
We thought we actually know where you're going, know where we're going.
Right.
We know how we're going to get there,
Yeah.
in theory.
Yeah, so that process of how
But
we're
it
going to get there.
also gives a framework for when it all goes pear-shaped.
Yes. Yeah, because sometimes people say Chart the Course Navigators are inflexible, but actually they will be flexible, but they just like to have another plan. If something changes, that's fine. They don't mind change, but we then need to get another plan in place. Yeah, great,
And
thank
the
you.
hindrances were
Yeah.
a delay in starting, because you have to take the time to plan. Also, because it's a plan, there's a perceived inflexibility,
Yeah,
which is only a perceived flexibility.
yeah.
And we don't necessarily need other people to be involved.
Yeah.
You don't need what?
Don't necessarily need other people to be involved.
Don't need you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's only
So
complicated. Human beings only
So
complicated.
Chart the Course Navigators quite happy to work out the plan themselves, but then they want you to follow it. Okay, great, thank you. Well, let's come over here. Yes, proceed. So this is behind the scenes synthesizer.
Stand up.
Well done.
Interestingly, the first ones we came up with were the negatives,
Right.
which might say something about how we perceive other people's perception of us.
Yes.
So one negative was it might look like we don't care when we do. We might not be as quick as others in emergencies because we're still assimilating information. And we can be easily ignored because we're behind the scenes. For the negatives. For the 3 positives, well, 4 positives.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we like more positives than negatives, definitely.
We're thorough about considering the information properly. We slow down the decision process so that other people can consider it more correct, more thoroughly. We keep things going behind the scenes. When everyone else is rushing about on the surface, there's still this steady work going on behind the scenes. It's kind of like a flywheel, kind of a bit of balance there. And we pay attention to the information other people might be missing, the nonverbal cues, the emotional atmosphere, and so on. So we pay attention to other information.
Great, thank you. So, what does this table have? So this is also behind the scenes synthesizer.
So some of the things were already mentioned, so I'll do the ones that weren't. So we talked about how we tend to be interested in accuracy, so we need time to take in a lot of inputs to get to that best result. And the problem is we may never finish anything. And we talked about once we have gotten to a result, we have great passion and commitment to that plan. The downside of that is we can be very stubborn and may not be flexible because of all the work and effort it is taking to get to this plan. So if circumstances change or we get pushback from people, we may dig in our heels and become less effective as a result.
Interesting, great. Thank you very much. Right, so now we've got 3 tables of the Get Things Going Energizer style.
I'll stand over here, so hopefully you guys will hear me. How does this core belief help us? It involves everyone, and we see that as being really important because we value everyone, and everyone's opinion is important. But it's also because actually we want to be involved. We don't want to be left out. We want to be part of that decision making and plan. And we believe that involving everyone increases the actual engagement. And so the whole process will be better if others are involved. How does it hinder us? And we've actually got 5. Sorry. Not everyone wants to be involved. And so our forcing them can be a problem. We also recognise that we've heard that introverts actually do need more space, and we're really quite want to get things going. So, and so that can actually work against us, which is also goes along with our pace can be too fast, and that can be seen as manipulative by others. But there's no intention to control. We just want to evolve, and our energy can be overpowering. So, and that can be hard for people. So, out of those last 2, that last area, our pace and our space, being aware of our pace and being aware of other people's space is important.
Great, thank you very much. Some really interesting stuff coming out here. So, should we have the table over there? What can you add to what the other group said?
We had one great problem. We were 3 ENTPs and 2 ENFPs.
Right.
Which means that it was very difficult to get into 3 points.
Okay. Okay, so do you have anything to add?
Yeah, we talked about one of the problems is basically when we are a difference between ENTPs and ENFPs was that the ENTPs was tending to, when we had a great idea, we moved forward, and when we get to the next station, we discovered that the 20 people that had to move with us were still waiting on the first station.
Yeah. Because you've rushed ahead.
And the ENFPs would be a little more concerned about it. We had all together.
Well, we will get on the train.
Yeah.
Because you have to leave people behind.
Because you want to be involved and you want to move things forward. Yeah, that process. Great, thank you. So, over here.
We could see that our strength was our weakness because we want to give everyone a voice. The more people you include, the more chance there is for disagreement. And if there is a disagreement, we want to harmonise it or resolve it in some way before we can move forward. So that we slow the whole thing down. But when we do have consensus, then it's a very strong way to move forward.
Yeah, great. Sometimes people say the Get Things Going style can create quite a chaotic atmosphere. Certainly for the more introverted styles. Lots of activity, lots of involving, lots of energy going in. And sometimes can be overpowering, I think, for some of the other styles.
Team building events, how they get things going? Team building events?
Yeah, maybe.
Depends on whether they have you hop around on one foot or not.
Yeah, okay. Does anyone have any other questions or points they want to make about what other people have said? Yes, Shirley.
I'm an EATP, and sometimes I can be misread as trying to be in charge.
Yes.
So particular groups I work with, often they think I'm trying to lead the group, when actually I'm trying to energise the group.
Yes.
And there'll be this sort of a power play might emerge, and then when they say, you're trying to be the leader, you're trying to dominate, you're trying to be the hero and stuff, these are all completely foreign words to me. I'm just trying to get things going.
So that's your intention.
Totally misunderstood.
Yeah. So your intention is to get things going, but your impact isn't always what you intended. It's not perceived by the people in that way. Sue.
We had a conversation about the fact that we actually don't want to be in charge of everything.
Yeah.
As long as there is a sense of control, then that's fine with us. If things become chaotic, although our ESTP was a little bit happier with chaos than the others in the group, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
And we might step up if we see things that are going to sort of spiral downwards. Yeah. But we actually don't want to be in control and in charge of everything.
Yeah.
So it's a sort of kind of a misnomer.
Yeah. But you have to have that trust that other people are going to do it.
Yeah.
So I coached a mobiliser manager who wanted other people to do stuff, but he never actually gave them the time to get on and do it. He'd asked them to do something. An hour later, he was saying, have you done that yet? Well, they had other priorities. And then he tended to take things back. He had to learn to delegate. So you need that trust in other people. Sorry, Catherine, you can do this.
I was just going to ask, is it helpful if someone is clearly in charge?
Oh, yes. That's really the desire. If somebody it seems to be handling the situation and they're moving it along at a decent enough pace, I'm good. But if there's a lot of dithering around, there's a lot of indecision, my skin starts to crawl.
Yeah.
And we feel a compulsion, like to be responsible for that. And we can't help ourselves. If something is falling apart, then we can't. It's something we can't help. Yeah.
Well, we're also safety net. So we might let somebody else who's got their journey, and we're just down here going.
Yeah, you're not really fully trusting them. You're still keeping an eye on them.
Now I've someone who's got a heart attack in a church situation.
Yeah.
So they're still leading.
Right.
So I'm giving them the opportunity and
but you're checking on it.
underneath.
Yeah. But you can see
so it works well together.
Based on what Marky just said, you can see how that conflicts with the synthesizer, the behind-the-scenes synthesizer, who wants to take time and gather all the input and so on. I will have to move on, unfortunately. I'd love to discuss for longer, but I do need to move on. Just on that last point, when I was at ICL working on leadership development programme, I had a major falling out with a colleague, and I think if I'd known then more about type, I did know about type, but if I'd known then about interaction styles, we wouldn't have fallen out. She was an in-charge mobiliser, I was the behind-the-scenes synthesizer. We were putting together a radical new way of developing leaders. I wanted to take time to research, different theories of leadership and different learning methodologies and all that sort of thing, and get the best possible leadership development programme that we could. She wanted to make sure we had something to deliver, on the 1st of November or whatever it was. And we really had a major clash over that. And I honestly think if I'd known then about interaction styles, we would have handled it differently. So that brings me back on to this thing about beliefs. And I want to say a little bit more about that before I close. So, when we're in a situation, our beliefs about ourselves, our beliefs about the other person, our beliefs about the situation influence how we feel about it. And as we saw from that short film, our emotions drive our actions. They influence what we do and say, and that influences what result we get. At the moment, I'm sort of talking about the negative side. Obviously, this works positively. This can be a positive chain reaction, positive cycle. But today I'm talking about how it works sort of negatively. And one of the shared, I guess it's a universal human need to feel worthwhile about ourselves, to have a sense of self-worth. And when you interact with other people, your sense of self-worth comes from meeting your core drives and fulfilling your beliefs. And so, for example, the in-charge mobilisers, when things are happening, whether they're doing it or someone else is doing it, they feel good because they're fulfilling that need for action. the chart and the course navigators, when there's a plan and it's followed, that makes them feel great because it fulfills their need for self-worth. For the behind-the-scenes synthesizers, knowing that you've pulled everything together and you've got the best possible result, you feel good, don't you? And similarly, the energizers, when you've got everyone's commitment and buy-in, and that's all thanks to the energy you've put in, that makes you feel good, gives you a sense of self-worth. What happens when we are in meetings or in interactions with other people, of course, these core beliefs come into conflict. So, my need to take time to gather information conflicts with the mobilizers' need to get things done, conflicts with the navigators' need to have a clear plan, and conflicts with the energizers' need to involve people. So when you get into conflict with people, you exaggerate your strengths, so you tend to stick more to your own position. So the mobilizers start to be seen as impatient and demanding. The navigators can be seen by others as sort of pedantic and inflexible. The synthesizers can be seen as just procrastinating and not being assertive enough and not being decisive. And the energizers can be seen as creating a sort of chaotic, frenetic atmosphere. So our strengths, what would be our strengths normally, flip over when our sense of self-worth is threatened. They flip over into weaknesses and into these negative emotions and then unhelpful behaviours. And I think what interaction styles does is help us break that chain. So when it's a negative chain, the bear, when it's a negative chain, beliefs, emotions, actions, results, knowing about interaction styles helps you break that chain. So if you take these two, so the mobilizer and the synthesizer, the mobilizer wants a quick result, it's worth the risk to go ahead. They start seeing the synthesizer as delay their beliefs about the other person, they're delaying, they're indecisive, they're unpredictable. The emotions they feel threatened, their sense of self-worth is threatened because they're not going to fulfill their core needs and their core beliefs. They feel frustrated, impatient, out of control. Their actions, they push harder. So in-charge mobilizers tend to push harder, assert, direct, confront. And with the result being they end up in competition, or they bulldoze things through, or they do it themselves. So that's a typical, I'm sure that's not true of everyone in every situation, but that is a typical way this bear chain can work. On the other side, the synthesizer believes that the other person is abrasive, aggressive, rash. Again, their sense of self-worth is threatened. I'm not going to meet my needs, my beliefs. They feel pressured, rushed. What might they do? Well, they might do nothing. They might delay. They might just be quiet. And the result being they might just accommodate or appear to accommodate, and you're in a lose-win situation. They might submit to the other person. I could have picked any two pairs and done a similar analysis. As I said, in this case, it's mobilizer, synthesizer. This one, it's energizer, navigator. So the energizers want involvement, and believe it's worth the energy to get everyone involved. They start seeing the navigators, when that clashes with the navigator, they start seeing the navigators as slow, stubborn, inflexible. They feel threatened, they get frustrated, upset. What do? Well, they become insistent, they might conciliate, they might distract with lots of activity, with the result being they end up feeling unappreciated, and they may well compromise, but they won't feel terribly happy about it. And what might the bear chain for the navigator, the child course navigators be? They start to believe the other person is frenetic, intrusive, indiscriminate. Their sense of self-worth is threatened because they're not going to fulfill their need to get a plan. And they believe that it's worth the effort to get a plan. They feel derailed, distracted, they might retreat, they might be quiet, they might be defensive. In conflict, they tend to avoid. If anyone's familiar with Thomas Hillman conflict styles, that's what I'm using here, yeah. They might avoid, withdraw, and it might remain unresolved. So those are some of the ways the bear chain can work negatively. And as I said, you could do this with any sort of combination of pairs. We won't be doing this, I've got 2 slides there, 3 slides there. We won't be doing this exercise because we're out of time, but what I did want you to think about, and you might like to think about this as you're driving home or on the train, is what are the practical things you can do and say to break that negative chain and adapt to connect with a different style. So how can you break it, what's happening in yourself, your emotions, but also how can you adapt your behaviour to connect with the other person and help them perhaps break their bear chain? Any questions or comments on that? Sorry?
It's a good exercise.
All right, yes, thank you, Marky. I'm sorry you haven't got time to do it. So my pearls of wisdom, be mindful that mind-body link, be aware of what's going on in your body, because that is a message about your emotions. And if you're more aware of that, you can manage your behaviour better. Be aware of your beliefs that are helping and hindering you in any particular situation. And most of our beliefs do help us, but they also cause us problems. How can you break that bear chain? Match your impact to your intention. You know, if you're not having the impact you want, how can you close that influence gap and adapt to connect? And that's it. I'm sorry there's not time for questions and discussion, but thanks very much for your attention this morning.